Hey, it's RayseTheGame, and if your son, your daughter can't focus, can't concentrate, they can't break out the books, they can't get the study done, their head is stuck in a screen, then this video is for you. I'm going to help you to help them to fix their focus. And this week I was in schools all over the country with my RayseTheGame motivational study skills program. I was in Carlow, I was in Laois, I was in Waterford, and in one school I was chatting to a guidance counsellor. She was telling me her friend whose son is sitting the Leaving Cert, he can't focus, he can't concentrate, he can't seem to get going with this thing called study, and they are concerned. They're stressed, he's stressed, the whole family are walking on eggshells. And she asked me this question: does he have ADHD? And we hear this term ADHD so much today, attention deficit hyperactive disorder, or sometimes referred to as ADD, attention deficit disorder. And as Dr. Edward Hallowell, he describes ADHD, it's like having a Ferrari brain with no brakes. Your brain is running at 100 miles an hour. And one of the misnomers of ADHD is it's a disorder. As he would say, it's a collection of symptoms. And some of those symptoms are positive, and some of those symptoms are negative. And some of the negative symptoms are, well, you're hyperactive, you're impulsive, you get distracted so easily, you're restless. And the problem with school is, for ADHD students, is school rewards stillness and behaving by the rules. And the problem for ADHDers is they break the rules. And when you break the rules, you get demerits. So if you can't focus, you can't concentrate, you can't sit still, sometimes you get into trouble, that means you're going to get demerited. And that's the problem for ADHDers in school. And the way to deal with this, well, there's the medical way, and then there's the behavioral way. I focus on teaching students the tools to be able to manage that impulsivity, that distractibility, to be able to manage themselves more effectively, so they're not surviving, but they're thriving in school. And some of the positive traits of ADHD is they're extremely creative, resilient, they get hyper-focused. In fact, they can't tolerate boredom. So that's why they go all in on some things and they don't want to even look at other things. And that's why school and study, they struggle, because they get bored so quickly. So here's the big thing for you right now. If your son or daughter can't focus, what do you do? And one of the big misconceptions is this: only 8% of students actually have ADHD. That means 90% of people don't have ADHD. So what is going on if all these young people can't focus, can't concentrate? And the answer is this. This is the problem today. In fact, today I was coaching one of my students, and we looked up his screen time for last week, and he was telling me he can't focus, he can't task initiate, he can't seem to get the work going. And when we looked at his screen time, he had 17 and a half hours on TikTok this week. 17. And if you multiply that over 30 weeks of the school year, that's 700 hours. In terms of study, he'd done maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours this week. So by the end of the year, he will have done only 70 hours of study versus 700 hours on TikTok. And this is a problem for him. And in order to take on all honours at Leaving Cert level, you got to be doing more work. So the big thing is, for lots of students today, is they're focused on the phone, but we're not focused on getting down and doing the work. And one of the things that student said to me, he said, Ray, when I think of all the work I have to get through, when I think of the volume of the content, and when I think about the fact I don't know how to study, I don't know how to learn, I prefer to go on my phone. And when he wakes up in the morning, he's on his phone. When he comes home to school, he's on his phone. When he's trying to do that history or that biology, he's on his phone. So what can you do if you are the parent of a teen, whether they do or don't have ADHD, but they're addicted to their phone? And here is the solution. Here is the hack, and it's this: one task at a time. One task at a time. And as Finn, one of my ADHD students, said to me last year, he said, Ray, what I loved about your coaching, what I loved about your program, and I coach ASD, ADHD, dyslexic, dyspraxic, neurodiverse teens. He said, you don't tell us to do 3 hours a day, you tell us to focus on 3 tasks. He said, I prefer to think of things in tasks. That way I can manage them, I can break them down, and I can get the work done. So one task at a time. So if you want to help your teenager, one of the things you can do is list the tasks. Help them identify how long each task is. Help them create a morning routine. And one of my students who I was coaching today, he was telling me, I leave everything to the last minute. So he's flying into the kitchen at 8 minutes past 8 in the morning. Car is leaving at 10 past 8. He's eating his breakfast. He's packing his bag. He's putting on his jacket. He's trying to pack his lunch. And the car doesn't leave till 17 minutes past 8. They're late dropping his sister to school. He's late getting into school. And as he said, when I'm walking in the door, I feel like I've run a marathon. And time blindness is a big issue. Organization is a big issue for all teens, but particularly for ADHD teens. So what we're trying to teach them is something called executive function. That prefrontal cortex is the size of a pea in an ADHD student. It's the size of a pea with a teenager. So like any muscle, you've got to build up that organizational part of your brain. How do you do that? By sitting with your son or daughter, creating tasks, help them create a morning routine, and let them fail. So if they don't get that CBA in on time, do not write the note. If they don't get their homework completed, do not write the note. Allow them to own the consequences of their failure. That way, it's a low-risk way of helping them to take ownership. And once they've got ownership, that's what actually starts to build the resilience. That's what builds autonomy. That's what builds motivation. And that's what builds focus. One task at a time. So if you like this video, click a like. If you want my coaching, go to RayseTheGame.com. If you want me to come to your school, go to RayseTheGame.com. And don't forget, guys, day by day, we are raising the game.